Yeah. So I think what's different now versus when I was at it, like she was telling me, just pay attention. Well, everyone's got TikTok brain. Everyone's got such a short attention span, right? So how can you expect a kid to sit there and absolutely zone in and pay attention all day?
They don't have that because their brain isn't wired for that. Since they started learning how to walk, talk, and just learn everything about life, their entire brain was wired for very short and quick dopamine responses.
I don't disagree. So I guess the question would be cell phones in schools. Back to that again. I mean, why are we allowing kids to have cell phones in schools? Why?
Because it is, most of the world sees them as a tool, not an entertainment device. But children see them as an entertainment device, not a tool.
Still, that doesn't answer the question. Like,
I think
why?
I think it does, because we're expecting the kids to use them as a tool and not an entertainment device, and it's just a false expectation. Because we're sitting there thinking, oh, they're going to do the right thing and use it as it's intended, as a tool. No, they're going to use it as an entertainment device to help trigger that quick dopamine response that is already embedded in their brain from since they were learning how to make neural connections in their brain.
Okay, fair enough. So how do we change that? What if we just don't allow cell phones in schools? That's a place to start, isn't it?
And that would be a place to start. That's going to cause a lot of initial chaos, but it would get the point across of, okay, you don't need this. This is a complete distraction. You don't need to be talking to your friends 2 classes over or across the building. Both of you need to be making sure that you're paying attention in your class so you can do well.
So you'd be for it. You'd be for it.
I think I'm not going to say I'd be for it, because I think there'd be a lot of, there'd definitely be some lashback and fighting and a lot of issues that would come to arise from that.
That'll go away. It's going to be hard at first.
But when would it go away?
Well, I should know this. I should have looked into this further, but I was listening to, I think it was Jordan Peterson, or anyways, I heard about this. I don't know if it was a study or an experiment or what, but this high school, all the teachers and staff and everyone were noticing in between classes, all the kids are walking through the school like this, walking through the halls with their heads down on their phones, like zombies. And they said, all right, this is enough. We're gonna stop this. And they're like, we're just gonna try it. Let's go. And they didn't allow, I don't know how exactly they did it, if kids had to keep them in their locker or if they just couldn't bring them into school at all, or if the office held, I don't know. But the first 2 weeks were really bad. And the initial, initially it was received very poorly. But it only took about 2 weeks, I believe it was. They said, in 2 weeks, all the kids were walking through the hallways, talking to each other. And they're gathered up by their lockers, and they're all talking face to face.
Because they can no longer communicate long distance.
Which is a good thing, because now you're developing interpersonal communication skills.
Which isn't something that is being learned when you're young, starting to learn your neural pathways.
We used to, at least when I was younger, I hate to keep saying that back in my day. I'm not trying to say that at all, but I was fortunate at least that we didn't have all this stuff because we talked to each other in school. And this is this is my number one thing that I'm very concerned about several things. That's why I'm running. But this is one: kids and education. I see the youth, how they're developing today, and I'm very concerned about their mental health. I'm very concerned about their physical health. I'm concerned that they're not going to be able to make their way in the world because they can't balance a checkbook. They don't know how to put together a resume. They don't know how to do an interview. They don't know how to change a tire. And everything. And so, you dish out prescriptions to kids for depression and anxiety. And first of all, we're all going to be depressed at some point. We all get anxiety. It's about being resilient. And I know some people actually have depression, I totally get it. I feel, but I think it's overdiagnosed. And instead of the doctors saying, "Hey, tell me about your life," they just cut them a script. Because I'll bet you a large majority of those kids don't get any exercise. They're not outside. They don't play any team sports. They probably don't eat very well. They're sitting around watching other people on their phone live their own lives and not living their own. So of course you're going to be depressed. Of course you're going to feel like shit. Like, how about I just heard about another study recently how exercise far outweighs, is far more beneficial with mental health and depression and anxiety than any pill that's being prescribed.
If it's not chronic, yes.
Right. Yeah. And I'm not saying every single kid.
Chronic depression, anxiety, that it's chronic. It can't be solved with pills. Now,
maybe not every single one, but maybe a lot could. And I don't know that anyone's trying it. So I'm concerned. And then now you throw on top of it all the gender stuff. And listen, I know there's kids that definitely feel like they're in the wrong body, and I feel very bad for them about that. I mean, it's a terrible thing. That would be horrible to feel that way. But if you look at graphs and statistical actual data facts, it's like it's gone like this. Whoosh, as far as how many people identify this way. And I've heard an argument, one second, I'm not to cut you off, but I've heard arguments that kind of make some sense, that a lot of these kids that are jumping on this bandwagon are doing it because, first of all, maybe they're not doing any good in school. They don't play any sports or have any actual achievements to speak of. Maybe their home life isn't very good. Maybe they don't have a lot of friends.
They're looking for an identifier, and this is something that they've clung on to.
They're looking for, perhaps they're looking for something to feel special about themselves without actually having to do anything, right? And I'm not trying to sound like a dick, or for all those people that are dealing with this stuff, I genuinely feel horrible, but you can't, the amount of kids now that are jumping on this thing and they're being prescribed hormones and they're gender affirming care. Like, what do you mean affirming care? If you're depressed, or if you have a certain issue you need to talk to a psychiatrist about, the psychiatrist's job is to make you better, not to affirm how you feel. That's not what that's for, what a psychiatrist is for. Psychiatrists will hear you out and help you work through that problem. It shouldn't be a place to go that says, "Okay, Jimmy, you feel like Jane? Okay, Jane, I'm going to call you Jane. It's okay, Jane." Instead, it should be, okay, well, listen, you're not a female. Okay, first of all, you're not a female. There is a spectrum, but there is only male and female. There are feminine men all the way over to very masculine men. There are masculine females all the way over to very feminine females. And that's how it used to be. And if you're a really masculine female, and you kind of liked women, okay, you're gay. Okay, fair enough. Same thing with a guy. If you're a very effeminate guy, a lot of times they turn out they were gay, okay, fine. But now it's like, if you feel that way, you're actually, if a guy is super feminine or whatever, now he's being told, you're a girl. You're a girl. And we're going to change actual facts for your feelings. And I've watched a lot of these detransitioning stories, not to make this about transgender, but where these these post-transitioned folks later on in life look back and cry, why would you do that to me? Why'd you allow that to happen to me? My brain wasn't even developed yet. I couldn't make that decision. I watched this horrible, it was terrible. I cried, seriously, just watching it. This gal that had all this work done, and it was the most horrible thing. All the treatments and all the money and healthcare that she needed to have because of it, and it sterilized her. And why aren't we talking about this? Why aren't we, China and Russia and like all these other, they're teaching their kids how to fight. They're teaching them kids self-defense. They're teaching them math and physics. And TikTok over there is not what it's like over here. TikTok over in China is all about achievement, athletic achievement, sports achievement. It's all about, making your family proud and stuff like that. It is not what it's like over here.
No, over here it's entirely different. It is very much playing to the quick dopamine.
Quick rush, yeah.
The quick rush, and okay, how fast can I get satisfaction from flipping from video to video to video, and how people are creating more and more content to boost that because that gets them more money.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because they want it to be that way, just because that's how that algorithm works in this country.
Yeah, and I don't have, I'm not on TikTok, and I won't be, but I think a lot of it, even if you look at the amount of time that kids spend on social media, what a loss of opportunity to spend that much time on something that does nothing for you. Like, that I just sold my Xbox.
Yeah.
Right? It was kind of part of my ritual in the morning. I get up, make some coffee, I jump on Call of Duty, and I play for a half hour, an hour. But then I started looking at it, and I'm like, what is this doing for me? It's not doing anything for me. Nothing. Why am I doing this? And I kind of feel the same way about social media. I'm on Facebook only to stay connected to people. I'll jump on there to see what my nieces and nephews are doing, or maybe I want to be on there too if an old friend wants to reach out, something like that. But I do not sit online and endlessly scroll. It makes me ill.
I used to be that way. I used to be on Facebook, Instagram, not very much Instagram, but I used to be very in depth into the social media. Because I wasn't a kid that had a phone through middle school or anything. I got my phone very much later in life compared to a lot of kids, which helped me not be as addicted, but it is... when I did get it, it hit me hard with, okay, you got to be on these social medias, you got to be connected to these people. And I very much stepped away from that. I no longer use TikTok. I really only use YouTube for some entertainment and finding out information.
YouTube University.
And then I have my reading app called Webtoon. It's for comics, but I'm sitting there reading something.
Yeah.
I'm not watching something. I'm not getting a quick dopamine. I'm actually sitting there essentially reading a chapter of a comic.
So let's dial this back then. Do you think all this stuff is hurting kids, and are you concerned? You're kind of a generation or two under me, but you have a new baby, and if you were to look at the youth, say in middle schools and high schools today, not necessarily just, let's remove local, just in aggregate across the board, are you worried?
Incredibly.
You are.
It is just looking at what teachers are seeing is from kids coming into school or progressing through grades. We have high schoolers who cannot read. Yeah. We have middle schoolers who can't do simple math. And so because of this quick dopamine, I just want this rush right now. I'm going to do what I can to get to it. So they might pass their test initially, but they they've completely lost all of that information over summer break.
Yeah.
There is an issue with how younger generations' brains are structured, and I think it's coming from that quick dopamine release. There's plenty of baby shows that studies have been done, like Cocomelon. I will never let my child watch Cocomelon because it uses extremely bright and distracting colors and quick resoluting scenes and themes to keep their attention, which builds those quick dopamine searching pathways.
Yep.
There's thankfully other children's shows that don't have that. But the more popular ones are the ones that hold baby's attention for a longer time, which is, I think, kind of the building block of the issue, but it's definitely being nurtured and fed into our education system and how our kids are being raised.
Yeah, 100% agree. So, yeah, and then I want to talk about taxes as well, and I'll be putting up a video about that here within the next couple of days. But yeah, I wanted to just kick this around a little bit because I have a feeling that even a lot of whether you're a parent or not, I have a feeling a lot of people are seeing this and they feel this in their gut, but they are afraid to say it. I totally get that because, as I've said before, cancel culture literally
tears people apart.
Well, it rules this world. I'll say it. I'm going to say it. And a lot of it is that the 10% minority is a lot louder and outspoken than the 90% majority is. So I'm going to start saying it. I'm going to say it. And I'm going to do, we're going to do a taxes video next. And I'm going to do a quick, I'll do a tax video next. And that'll be up on the podcast soon here.